Overwatch was a huge part of my college life, and now I actually had the opportunity to write for one of their newest heroes. This is the story of how I got to write the origin comic for Wuyang, which is Overwatch's newest character. But before we get into the video, hey guys, I'm Brandon Chen. I'm a writer-producer for the webtoon manga anime space. I run the studio Inspire Productions that makes my stories, and the successful ones we try to take to animation. And a free way to support this channel is by smashing the like button. Really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. And subscribe if you're interested in learning more about the educational side of entertainment. Now, I've been playing Overwatch the video game since it came out. Now, for those of you guys who don't know what Overwatch is, it's a fast-paced team-based shooter from Blizzard Entertainment where you can play as colorful heroes, each with their own unique powers, personalities, and play styles. You can kind of think of it as anime meets sci-fi meets superhero squads, except it's a hero-based shooter. You know, from the first cinematic that I saw 10 years ago, I knew that I was immediately hooked on the characters, the lore, the world building, and I wanted to learn more about them. And so I ended up finding myself playing the game religiously on the PS4 all through college. I even managed to get my rank up to top 500, which if you don't know, it's a big freaking deal. And so when the Blizzard team hit me up to contribute writing to the new hero, Wuyang, I couldn't say no. I've written for video game IP before, but this was the first time that I was going to be writing for an IP that I actually played like a ton of. So what is this project that we did? And who is Wuyang and how did I go about writing for him? Wuyang is essentially Overwatch's newest support hero. He's a student at Wuxing University, which is an advanced technological school that has 5 colleges, each allocated to a different element of the Wuxing philosophy. Wuyang was admitted to Water College, but with his family legacy at Fire, he is sort of learning to make the best of both worlds. Anyway, from the first character sheet that I saw, I already sort of understood the archetype of this character. He's someone who's cool, determined, and a little bit goofy at times. He's essentially a shonen protagonist, which is perfect because that's the type of protagonist and characters that I'm used to writing, especially in the anime, manga, webtoon space. And so I got to be part of that writing process for Wuyang's origin story, Against the Tide, which is now a new comic that you can read. I'll put a link in the description. There's also a motion comic read by the voice actor that is on their official Overwatch channel. I'll also link that. Now, how did I even get this gig? Because this is an educational channel, I'm not going to gatekeep how I got this opportunity. There's lots of ways that you can get deals these days. You can apply, you can network. And for this project, actually, I'd been connected with the folks at Blizzard Entertainment for a while now, and that was primarily from posting my projects and work online. So then when it came for an opportunity where Blizzard was looking for a writer for this particular project, it just so happened that I was at the top of their mind. They thought I was a great fit and immediately reached out. There wasn't a test or anything, which I'm quite thankful for, and they just trusted me, and it was a very collaborative project. Now, all of this to say, like, for any aspiring creators that are following me, that are interested in, working with companies on an adapted IP or, existing IP, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. You gotta post your work, show off your skills. Really, you never know who's watching, right? And the people who are out there making cool projects, if you're at the top of their mind when they are staffing for that project, that's how they'll reach out to you. There's actually a lot of projects that I'm working on, and I'm constantly staffing artists, and it's whoever's posting their work online and reaching the top of my mind when I'm thinking about a certain project or certain art style or whatever it is, right? Now, how was it writing for Overwatch? If you haven't done it before, a lot of you guys might be wondering what it's like to write for a project with such, rich existing characters and lore. The first thing I would always recommend that you do is do some studying. I went back and played a lot of Overwatch 2. I also went back and rewatched a lot of the previous cinematics, read some of the previous comics as well to give myself a better understanding of the lore and get up to date. And ultimately, I was trying to refamiliarize myself with the feeling of Overwatch because it has a specific feeling to the IP. And the reason I do all of that is because when you go ahead and start your writing process, you want to be able to capture that similar vibe and that similar feeling that's resonant with this project and this IP. It has to essentially match the Overwatch brand or the brand of whatever project you're doing. Now, it's important to note that when you're writing for larger companies such as Blizzard Entertainment and you're impacting the lore, that there's going to be a lot of different folks from different teams and different areas of the company that you're interfacing with. And essentially, you have to get your ideas through those people, right? Whether it's the game team, the editorial team, the brand team, your writing, or my writing in this case, has to reflect Overwatch as well as the character that I'm representing. And also, the elements that you are creating that are new can't conflict with existing lore or impede on future plans for that project, right? You're not the only one who's creating within this world. There's other writers or other initiatives that are also building simultaneously, and you can't mess up the broader roadmap, right? The narrative, the characters, all of it has to be very consistent, which is why you have so many checkpoints when you're working with a bigger company and a bigger IP. It's not just Blizzard. This has really been my process working with other large companies as well. So it's usually across the board that this is a thing. So like I said, writing for Overwatch was definitely a very collaborative process, but it was also quite open because it just so happened that it was mostly new narrative territory. There's a new characters, new setting, new technology, new history. Overall, the project narratively was pretty open. I'll definitely say that in the comic, there was a large amount of lore and character building that we wanted to get through in sort of a limited amount of space, right? There's only a couple pages for the comic. Because at the core, these comics are meant to give additional story and context to the heroes that everyone is playing in the games. So that was definitely a challenge, right? Doing all of that amount of content in such a short space. But I think we nailed it together. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. But yeah, that was my experience collaborating with Overwatch on Wuyang's lore and new comic. It was amazing to be able to contribute, even in a small way, to one of my favorite gaming IPs. And honestly, it was one of the gaming IPs that shaped a lot of, what I deem to be my childhood. If you guys didn't know, I also play another game that Blizzard Entertainment does, World of Warcraft. I've been playing that since I was like in my teens, early teens. I'm talking like 13. So Blizzard team, if you're watching this, if you ever want to work together again, let's do it. This was an amazing and collaborative opportunity. Thank you. Shout out to Valenci. I think that's how you say your name. Hopefully that's how you say your name out loud. But she was the artist for the Wuyang Against the Tide comic. Fantastic artist. Her art is the perfect fusion of Western and anime styles, and it was the perfect fit for the Overwatch IP. And if you're an Overwatch fan, make sure to check out Against the Tide for free. I will put all the links for that in the description. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace. Boop.